Welcome to Extra Take. I rearranged. Today is part 2 on the biology of addiction. Last time, I wanted to make the case that the brain is an organ, and we know that chemicals and behaviors, think of gambling, hijack that organ and addict us. Experiments and real-world stories confirm this. I thought it was important to devote an entire video to that because, first of all, that's literally how addiction works. But second of all, there's a lot of arrogance and stigmatization around addiction. People will look at an addict and think, that's a worse person than me. They may be in a worse position, but they're exactly the same person as you, or the same kind of person as you. We're a biologically singular species. We all just have different experiences. It's a bit like the phrase, there but for the grace of God go I. Today is going to be more technical. What actually happens in the brain when you get addicted? And what is happening while you are on the way to becoming addicted? Addiction, like I said in the last video, is a process. Perhaps escalating usage is a helpful way to redefine addiction, because addiction sort of gets worse over time. It becomes more debilitating, and addicts sometimes seek out harder substances to satisfy their cravings. Just a side note, you would not believe what people can get addicted to. My Strange Addiction featured people addicted to eating glass, toilet paper, cat hair, mattresses. One person was eating her husband's cremated remains. Those might not necessarily be addictions, but you get the idea. It's not just drugs. So, addiction/escalating usage. Your memory is a way of recording your lived experience. You don't literally remember the exact event exactly like it happened, unless you have a condition like hyperthymesia. Instead, the brain remembers how the experience made you feel. We are miserable at recalling events with any kind of reliable accuracy, but we know what we like and we remember the feeling. If a food makes you sick just one time, you may develop a complete intolerance to it. Meanwhile, everybody else still likes buffalo chicken. That's a true story for me. But anyhow, those stimulations fire off a specific neural pathway in your brain. Your neurons have to talk to each other for you to remember anything. If I showed you a picture of your mother and we could somehow see everything your brain is doing, we would see the roadmap in your brain that connects that picture to your memory. This would be unique in every person, and each experience would have a unique pathway. The neural pathway for remembering your mother's face is not the same one for remembering your 4th grade teacher's face. However, the autonomic pathways and reflexes of the brain aren't specific to anybody, they're specific to everybody. The autonomic branch of the nervous system is our life support. You don't need to remember anything to live, it just helps. The basic functions that keep everybody alive are hardwired into the brain and have evolved over millions of years. Those parts of the brain located in the midbrain and pons are more or less exactly alike in every person. The midbrain is where addiction hijacks our brains, as that is the reward center, but it's not the complete story. Memory evolved because, like I said, it helps to keep us alive. The emotional response that an addictive substance or behavior can give can be more powerful than the body's urge to keep you alive. The rat experiment from Milner and Olds showed that. That's part of why I said last time that there's no such thing as mind over matter, and that your subconscious is vastly more powerful than your willpower. Time to get anatomical. When we experience something pleasurable, a region of the brain called the nucleus accumbens produces dopamine. Dopamine is associated with pleasure and reward. Our brain evolved in nature, and dopamine is connected with things that helped us survive in nature: food and sex. The hippocampus in our brain helps integrate our experiences into memory. Humans have a capacity for very long-term memory, just like many mammals do. Just in front of the hippocampus is the amygdala. The amygdala creates a conditioned response to certain stimuli. For example, when you eat sugar, the brain releases a certain amount of dopamine that is always the same. But we know many other things trigger dopamine releases too. Drugs will release dopamine, but as we become conditioned or accustomed to them, the brain releases less dopamine over time. Probably because at some level, our brain knows that these chemicals aren't helping us survive. This leads to escalating usage. Addicts turn towards different substances or switch to intravenous injections, which are more powerful. Everything from sugar to breastfeeding to nicotine to heroin causes the same cascading effect in the same regions of our brain. The only difference is in magnitude. So if the reward center is triggered by anything pleasurable, why aren't all of us hopelessly addicted to all kinds of pleasurable things? Well, because addiction is a subversive experience. You need the right environment as well as the right substance. Remember, Vietnam veterans quit heroin, the most addictive substance we know of, cold turkey, just by coming back home. Addiction is used as a safety blanket for our psychological problems. We use a substance or a behavior to achieve emotional stability. It's nice to know that your phone is always in your pocket. In fact, you probably can't function when you can't find your phone. Technology is the thing that has hopelessly addicted all of us. Would spending 2 hours scrolling through your Facebook feed make you feel happier than spending just 10 minutes with your friends? Or would it just make you feel less lonely for a longer period of time? This isn't real companionship, it's fake. Rewards are supposed to be beneficial. That's why food releases dopamine. Nicotine isn't beneficial, so it's not a real reward. Social media is not really socializing, it's fake too. This is a topic I'm going to return to, but today was about the biology of addiction, and we've covered that. Next time, we're going to look at an often overlooked kind of addiction, behavioral addiction. Thanks for watching.